Right. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So have you learned something new so far, or at least put it together maybe in ways you haven't thought about it before? And it is critical. This is only going to work if we do. It's just not going to work otherwise. If we think somebody's going to go do it, it's going to keep going the way it's going. And man, you guys, it's serious. I wish I could convey to you how serious things are. I mean, you see gold going through the roof because confidence in the dollar is being lost. The amount of debt and interest and all of the bad stuff that we talked about, it's bad. But the good news is 6 simple principles. Simple principles. If we know the 6 simple principles, then, and you know, number 1, you're the boss. We talked about that class 1. Number 2, it's the structure of our government. It's not the politician. It's not the policy. It's the structure. If we fix the structure, then it works. Number 3, it's the states that are responsible for the structure. Hi, guys. The states are responsible for the structure, and that means that our number 1 job then is to hire state leaders who know what the structure is, who know what the balance is, who know what the powers of the states are, and have the ability and the character to do that. And then last week we talked about the 3 Ps, right? How do we delegate our sovereign duty, our sovereign responsibility? How do we delegate that to our state leaders? It's not by all cap emails, right? It's not by sending gummy candy body parts to people, and it's not by shouting at them, and right? Personal, professional, persistent. And then tonight is how we bring it all together. This is how we get to this multi-level liberty that we can do our job in 5 minutes a week. 5 minutes a week. I mean, seriously, if we do that, we invest that, we can fix this thing. And that's the promise I make to you. 5 minutes a week, but 5 minutes a week, we don't ever get a week off. We've got to be engaged, acting like the boss of our government every week. So on this website then, we've got these discussion groups, and you see we've got groups all over the United States. We're working to aggregate people, get people into these groups, because then what we're going to talk about tonight is how we leverage our voice, and we also leverage the states. And we kind of call it 10 by 10. We get 10,000 people in a state, we own the state. We fix the structure in the state. We get 10 states, we steer the whole nation. And there are way cool things happening. Oh, also right here. So the workbook for what we're doing is here. If you click on that, there's an electronic workbook that we're going to go really, really fast. But if you want to go deep and footnotes and quotes and all the stuff, then it's right there. You can get that.
What's the URL?
It's iGovern.
Oh, I thought it said
iGovern.us, and then you go into the impact groups right there. And when you do that, this is where you go. You got to sign up, but then you've got the discussion group and the learning, and you can members and events and stuff. Like for this class, if you go in there and you click on events, then the Zoom link is just right there under the events on that. And so that's all that cool stuff. But we're working to 10,000 people in 10 states. And honestly, we get 1,000 people in 10 states. We change the whole game. We change the whole game with that. All right, no free government or the blessings of liberty can be secured to any people but by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. Is that take the class once? Frequent recurrence. Is that never study it at all? Is that I had a class once in 5th grade? No. You're the boss of the greatest enterprise in the history of the world. That means we got to know the ins and outs. We got to know the org chart and the balance. The Utah Constitution says it this way. Frequent recurrence to fundamental principles is essential to the security of individual rights and perpetuity of free government. If you don't want those things, then forget about it. Don't frequently recur. Don't study. Don't worry about knowing the structure. And then we just, individual rights, free government. Remember this guy? This is my little grandson, right? The framers knew government's like a 2-year-old. If you don't watch the 2-year-old, you don't have the backup plan, it's going to make a mess. And if you're not watching the 2-year-old, it makes a mess. It's not the 2-year-old's fault, right? Government's the same way. They built checks and balance and limits and divisions So they would have backup plan to the backup plan to the backup plan. And if we're not maintaining that structure and the government makes a mess, it's not the government's fault. Right here, because we're the boss. And the first thing government does is, don't see me, Mom, right? Government doesn't want to be seen in what happens, right? It tries to be obscure. All over the place. Unsustainable, unsustainable, unsustainable. Guys, it's bad. 1/3 of 38 trillion is due in 12 months. And nobody is buying our debt. They're going to continue to monetize. They're going to create more money, which devalues every dollar in your pocket. Your money is being taxed while you sleep, right out from under you. That's where $2 trillion of overspending comes from. That's where the $1 trillion in interest comes from. And so it's going to just keep snowballing now. We're at that point where we've kicked the can down the road, that the can is too big to kick. And so we've got to get serious. So this is the analogy, right? If you're the boss of the company and you don't hardly ever show up and you don't know who your employees are and you don't give them the job description and you don't follow up to see how they're doing, 100% of the time that fails. That's how we're running this greatest country in the history of the world. James Wilson, right? James Wilson signs a declaration, signs a constitution, original member of the Supreme Court. George Washington asks him to teach him and his cabinet about the principles of the Constitution. He says the first and fundamental principle in the science of American government is that the people are sovereign. The science of American government. We need to know the science of our government. It's not just, it's not just the simple things we learn in 5th grade. If we're going to be the boss, we've got to know the structure. Scalia tells us the fragmentation, that division produced by the structure of our government is central to liberty. That's what preserves our liberty, is the structure of our government. This is what we're taught in 5th grade and 8th grade and 11th grade, right? That's not our government. That's not our government. That's a single republic. In a single republic, usurpation is guarded by the divisions of the branches. Madison tells us in the compound Republic of America, power is first divided between two governments. It's a governing partnership. And so we've got to know the roles and responsibilities of the partners. We've got to know it in great detail, or the structure doesn't work. Power is first divided between two distinct governments for a very specific purpose. Double security to the rights of the people is why they designed it that way. This is our government. And so this is what we have to make sure that we know in detail, the balance of these governments, the division of powers, the powers of the different governments, and most importantly, we have to make sure that our state agents know in detail the science of American government. Not just who has a prettier red flyer or blue flyer or nicer hair or pretty teeth. We need to know if they know the science of our government so that they can keep the machine in proper balance. You wouldn't go to a mechanic just because they have nice hair, would you? Or because they sound really nice. You want to know, can you fix the dang machine? Our governing machine is in trouble. And we've got to know that we've got people that know how to fix the machine. Just like having a bicycle with a bloated tire and a flat tire. The answer is not who should ride the bike. It's not whether Trump or Harris should ride the bike or should they steer harder to the left or right. We got to fix the bike. That's the critical thing. Federal, state, and this is all just review, right? We're just reviewing the classes 1 through 5. We'll get into the other stuff here in just a second. But federal and state government, they're just different agents or trustees. Remember trustees, that's our key word, right? Because a trustee owes what kind of a duty to us? Fiduciary duty. Remember what that means? Not for your own interest. We trust them with our money, with our life. It's the highest duty known to law. The utmost good faith and loyalty. That's what we're supposed to expect of the people that we elect, and they need to know to act that way as a trustee. Just like if you put your life's fortune in somebody's hands and said, I'm trusting you. And the law should hold that duty. Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The general power of governing that is possessed by the states, not the federal government, is called the police power. That's the name of that power. That power means to promote health, peace, morals, education, good order of the people, increase industry, develop resources, add to the wealth and prosperity. almost everything that we think of as governing our daily life falls within this police power. That's the jurisdiction of the state, not the federal government. And yet, because over time we've not been maintaining the machine and knowing the balance and the tolerances, federal government's doing all these things now. And a $38 trillion debt and $100+ trillion unfunded obligation that is coming to the end of the road we can kick that can to. Important to strengthen state governments, it must be done by the states themselves, erecting barriers at the constitutional line that can't be surmounted by either of them. They talked about this all the time, this constitutional line. Go try to ask anybody today, hey, where's that constitutional line? Nobody knows because we don't talk about it. We don't work on it. We're working with our Federalism Commission now like crazy. We're working so diligently to try to redecipher the line between the state and federal government so we know what to defend. We can't defend a line that we can't define. You're in charge of this governing machine. You need to be able to give the job description to the people you elect so they know the jurisdictional lines that they're defending. That's your job, to make sure that they know that you're hiring people that can do that. States form distinct independent portions of the supremacy. Right? States are supreme in everything not delegated. The federal government's only supreme in the few powers delegated. But because that word supreme is in the Constitution and everything that's not delegated isn't written down anywhere, federal officers come in and say, oh, we're supreme. It says so right here. No, only in those few things delegated. The states are supreme in everything else. We don't teach that. We don't talk about that. John Dickinson, right? Government of each state is and is to be sovereign and supreme in all matters that relate to each state, only subordinate barely in the things that relate to their whole, and it'll be their own fault if the states allow the federal government to interfere in the things of their jurisdiction. If you want your governing voice to be taken to Washington, then don't worry about this jurisdictional line. Don't worry about the federal government interfering. If you want to go to Washington and try to, exercise your rights there, don't worry about this stuff. But if you want to make sure your voice matters right here, and you can change the law, and you can change things that affect your daily life, then that jurisdictional line is critical. It's critical because the minute the federal government federalizes anything, you lose your voice. We all lose our voice. So here's the tug of war, right? That healthy tension. That's not a bad thing. The news will say, oh, the states are fighting back, and oh, they're states' rights. And no, the healthy tension. The courts have told us, I don't have the quote up there anymore, but they say in that tension between the governments is where the protection of our liberty lies. In the tension. They counted on that. That was built into the system, like the Golden Gate Bridge, right? If you don't have that suspension, that tension, the bridge falls down.
That was the Roberts quote, right?
Yeah, exactly right, So then this is Robert Natelson, and he just went through Madison and just pulled, what are some of the tools in the toolbox of the states? This isn't taught to state legislators. None of these constitutional fundamentals are taught anywhere to state leaders. In Utah, they will be now because of the bill we passed this year. First time in the nation that we're actually going to have continuing education for all state leaders, and then we're going to work to export it to other states. But some of the powers, the tools in the toolbox, right? States have the ability to teach and public relations, teach about this balance and this jurisdictional line. Lobbying Congress, states can do that better than anyone. Judicial challenges, that's the power we think about most often, right? Lawsuits, if the federal government does something wrong, we sue them. State legislative action, right? We can do legislation that say, hey, this is our jurisdiction, not yours. I did a bill like that on energy just a couple years ago. Federal government wanted to shut off all coal-fired power in Utah within 5 years. And I did a bill that said energy is at the heart of the police power, the state jurisdiction. That belongs to the state, not you. We're not going to follow things that you say telling us how to produce energy. And they didn't challenge it because they know that jurisdiction lies with the state. We have to know that. Coordination among the states, working together is the best thing. Article 5, the states working together in the Constitution can propose amendments to the Constitution if you get 2/3 of the states together. States could change the Constitution tomorrow. to restore balance in things if they understood the Constitution. Nullification, that's a power where if they don't have the power in the Constitution, even Justice Ginsburg said a law that violates the Constitution is no law at all. But if we don't know that, knowledge or courage comes from knowledge. And then this is one, they have the right to alter or abolish. We don't even talk about that until we've used all the tools in the toolbox. And we've used them together as a group of states. So back to Roberts, right? States are separate and independent sovereigns. Sometimes they have to act like it. Could you imagine if you went out on the street and just asked people, you give them that quote and say, who do you think said that? Right? They would come up with some, oh, that was some radical, yeah, right. They'd come up with some. This is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. States are separate, independent sovereigns. Sometimes they have to act like it. So that's our constitutional blueprint that we have to make sure that we know very well, all of our state leaders know. Remember the Constitution in 4 words? You remember it?
If government, which government?
Right on. If government, which government, right? If government is the 9th Amendment. 9th Amendment says powers enumerated in the Constitution shall not deny or disparage all the others retained by the people. Even if there are things in the Constitution, everything else is still reserved to the people. All the governing power starts with the people. So if government, did we delegate that to any government? If not, stop right there. That's mine. That's my jurisdiction. And most of the things that we govern in life, right here. But we've got to know that jurisdictional line. Did we give that to government? Did we give government the power to tell us what to wear, when to go to bed, what kind of job, if we have a vacation? Do we, where do we work? How much are we going to work? There's a gajillion things we didn't delegate to government. We need to make sure we know when government comes up with some great idea, I'm going to make the world so much better. We've got to know, hey, wait a minute, we didn't delegate that to government. But if it is something we delegated to government, which one? Right? This is a governing partnership. Is it one of the few things that we delegated to the government far away? Or is it the numerous and indefinite things that we kept right here close to home? If government, which government? That's the whole Constitution right there, that we can break that down. Now, remember we talked about this, right? You wouldn't let me just take your wallet and walk off with it, right? I mean, I'm a public official. You could trust me, right? You wouldn't let me hang on to your wallet for even a couple minutes. But we let people take our life, liberty, property all the time. We don't even know who they are. Right? Every 2 years, we vote for people that have our life, liberty, property in their hands. We don't know the first thing about them. We've got to know their character. We've got to know, right? What could be more absurd than a person wholly ignorant of the Constitution should presume to make laws thereby? Remember, we talked about what's even more absurd than that? Is that we allow that to happen. We need to know if they know the Constitution, if they know the laws. 3 groups of people that handle other people's money. Right? Thieves, children, and politicians, they all need adult supervision. You got to keep your eye on your money. That's one of the hardest things in life to do. Government is altogether a trust, resumable by the people. We need to know the people that we're delegating our sovereign responsibility to. It's our sovereign responsibility. We're responsible for the government. We're just loaning our duty to people temporarily. So our representatives should think, feel, act like their constituents. They should be an exact miniature of their constituents, Theophilus Parsons says. We're voting for people that would process information, work, think, vote for things the way we would if we would spend the time to do that. We're not going to get it 100% right, but we're trying to pick the character, the ability, the skill of people in how they can process information. And let character be the guide, right? When we're voting for people, do they have the character to hold that fiduciary responsibility? So that's our review up to class 4, right? And then last week then, John Hancock said the greatest ability in business is to get along with others and influence their actions. And the greatest business guru, leadership guru in the world, John Maxwell, says leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And so if you're going to do your job, how well can you influence the people that work for you, your state representative and senator, your attorney general, your governor? Have you grown your influence with them, or do you want to, burn your influence with an all-cap email? You could do that, right? But, how well does that work with your employees? You scream and shout at them, and, you can communicate that message once. But if you want influence, we've got to grow that. That's where we talked about the 3 Ps. The state legislature, sure guardians of the people's liberty, Madison told us, and member Jefferson tells us that the people by their constitutions divided into 2 parties. Those who fear and distrust the people, wish to draw all power from them. Those who identify themselves with the people, have confidence in them. Which one do you want for people to represent you, right? And that plays out so much. And we're talking about, remember the 1-minute manager, we're talking about being the 5-minute sovereign on how we set goals, how we redirect, how we praise people when necessary. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight. But this whole thing in what we're doing with iGovern is to be the servant sovereign continuing education center. That's the mindset we need to have. The servant sovereign. How do we teach and help the people that we've elected to be better at this job that we hired for them? This was the book that I wrote to myself, the job description for this. Now let's get into what we're talking about tonight. This was still last week. So now for your homework for last week, remember? Your homework for last week was to compliment or thank at least one of your state agents. Anybody do their homework? Did you? Did you? Tell me about it.
It was my House and Senate representative and Governor Cox.
Awesome. What did you do?
Well, I just said to Governor Cox that, that I appreciated the way he dealt with the Charlie Kirk.
Excellent.
And then the other 2, I said, I just thanked them for their service, and I said my intent is to become more involved and be able to tell you I really like this, whatever, and
Excellent.
help them come up with how to vote.
Excellent. Did you get any response?
Well, I just did it today.
Okay. All right. Then we'll look forward to hearing from you. Yes.
I only got to my state and my state representative and senator, and I'm in South Salt Lake City, so they're both on the other party, and I wasn't quite sure how to compliment them.
Yep.
Exert any influence.
Yep.
So, but I found out who they are.
Great. That's the first start. But see, even to be doing this job is hard. And so even to just thank them for stepping up to serve. And you're going to start with more influence. You have more access to what's going on. Yes. Go ahead.
So I contacted my representatives, my local ones, and they sent me back emojis almost immediately. And a thank you, Sherry, because I let them know my name and everything.
Yeah.
So they replied, and I thought it was pretty cool that they responded. So,
See, you're a known commodity now, right?
yeah. But I did that like a couple months, like a month or so ago when I went and saw. Anyway, AFP was there, and they had us fill out forms and stuff. So they had us send their reps there, come out there.
Excellent. Excellent. Right? I mean, it's, just normal people. They're your neighbors, right? We put this whole, image up, but it's all about building that influence, growing that relationship. Anybody else? That's great. All right, the next one. What can I do to help you? What can I do to help you be better at this job we've hired you to do? Anybody have a chance to ask that? That's all right, you get a chance this week too. But think about it, right? The employees that we have, we help them be better. We want them to be better at the job. We'll give them computers. We'll give them assistants. We'll send them off to training. How can I help you be better? Do you need Post-its? Do you need paper clips? What do you need? How can I help you? That same attitude, because this is a really tough job. And there's way more stuff to do than there are hours in the day and an ability to get to it. And now you set yourself apart. You set yourself apart. You're now in the game, because you're helping your agents be better at this really difficult job. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's a complete game changer. All right, so now here we're coming to the punchline right now. We've talked about all the others. You're the boss. It's the structure. States are responsible. We got to know the character and ability of our state leaders? How do we delegate our responsibility to them? And tonight, because any one of us is only 1 out of 40,000 in a House district, 1 out of 120,000 in a Senate district, 1 out of 3.5 million in the state, we've got to know how to leverage our voice. If we're going to be the boss, we've got to be able to leverage our voice. This multi-level liberty, same thing, right? Leadership is influence. Oh, we're still reviewing from last week, right? So the 3 P's, remember the 3 P's, right? Personal, professional, persistent. Personal is just please and thank you. I mean, it is so simple. Just be nice. If you want to grow your influence with your agents, be nice. Even if you hate what they did, and you can burn their eyebrows off once, and they're going to remember that forever. But if you're nice, you're going to be in the game. You're going to have, and then professional is what we were just talking about. How can I help you be better? Professional kind of boils down to money and manpower. It's not quid pro quo. It's not pay to play. It's just the nature of how it works. It cost me $4,000 to send out a mailer to my district to let them know what I'm doing. It's just the nature of things, right? Remember, if you're going to donate money, and I recommend you do whatever you can afford, remember what the rule is if you're going to donate money to somebody?
Odd amount.
Some extremely odd amount, right? Why are we doing that? Because it's noticed. You're going to do, $3.27 every month if that's what you can afford, right? $50.26.5, right? Whatever. But make it a really peculiar amount, but you're going to do it regularly. If it's once a year, that's fine, right? I mean, even if it is $17.23 a year, you're going to stand out. Oh, that person helps me. That person is helping me. And then manpower. And there's all kinds of things. Next year's an election year. Signs and committees and, cottage meetings and town halls. There's so many ways to help. And then persistence speaks for itself, right? Push until something happens. Okay, so now we're on the last one, multi-level liberty. This is where we get to the magic. And by the end of tonight, our goal is you're going to know that you're going to share these with at least 5 other people, these fundamentals. And join that impact council and spend 5 minutes a week. And if you're really serious about your job, you're going to invest. Invest $5 a week, $5 a month. Invest in yourself as the boss of this entity. And, if you want to help us keep going forward at iGovern, you can help us at this iGovern. Keep doing that, AFP. Invest in your ability to know more and do more. In America, we don't have a government by the majority. We have a government by the majority who participate. All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent. In LA, they've elected mayors with less than 2% of the eligible voters. 20 million people, and a few thousand would elect the mayor.
It's visible that that's...
Yeah, it's right. Right, you could tell in some places. But seriously, if good people are not stepping up, there are plenty of others who want stuff who will step up. And so we're governed by the majority who participate. So in 2012, I passed a bill relating to this, right? 70% of our land is still controlled by the federal government. I did a bill to, transfer public lands, and I was all around the state. In fact, I was all around the nation teaching people about the law and history, right? And as I would teach them about it, we had these little postcards printed up and prepared and said, if you agree with what we're talking about, that we should be treated equally with all the states over here since we have the exact same statehood agreement as all these other states. If you agree with that, fill out this postcard, send it to the governor. Right? We did that 3 or 4 times, and a couple weeks go by, and I'm in the governor's office, and the governor says, Ivory, what are you doing? What are you doing out there? I said, what are you talking about? He says, we're getting inundated with these postcards. We're getting inundated, he said. That's the word that he used, right? Inundated. We're getting inundated with these postcards. I said, well, what does inundate look like? He said, we've got 12 of these postcards in the last 2 weeks. True story, you guys. 12 for a governor of a state of 3.5 million. 12 was being inundated. You see what I'm talking about? Doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. This whole idea of leverage, give me a lever long enough, a fulcrum on which to place it, I'll move the world. We leverage our voice and we inundate nicely as the servant sovereign, right? You get 12 in a legislative district, you can own that legislative district. You are able to help and make sure you've got the representative you need. 12 in a Senate district, same thing. You get 12 people that are willing to be heads of committees and help on the campaign, and you control that Senate district. No doubt about it. Even 12 people in a state, right? You get 12 people serious about who they want for that office, you can make all the difference. So this is what we're talking about. So we're talking about getting in every legislative district at least 100 people, right where you live. You don't need to go to Washington. You don't even need to go to Salt Lake. Right where you live, right? You tell 3 people, and they tell 3 people, and they tell 3 people, and you get your district set up so that they understand what it means to be the boss and what this structure is like, and that these divisions are critical, and you're going to hire your representative that knows these things. Do any of you have a friend? Any of you?
My wife says I don't.
Your wife says you don't? Okay, well then we'll work with your wife, okay? She has a friend, and they have a friend. This isn't hard stuff, right? If you care about the country, and right now, remember we talked about if ever the country would stand on the brink of ruin, it would stand in need of its patriots to step up. This is the time. This is 100% the time, because our country's in trouble. And if you care about what happens to your kids and your grandkids and what it's going to be like for them, now's the time to teach people that you're the boss of this country. That means you need to know how it operates, and you need to show up to work. And if you learn how to do it, you only have to show up 5 minutes a week. Are you willing to do that? Because the country needs you. This is what we're talking about. 100 people in each legislative district, you leverage your voice. We start influencing our state legislators to secure our rights. This is how we do this in 5 minutes a week. Let's see what it looks like, right? So then here, this is where we're going to start. We organize. This is where we can discuss and work and you know, what are the principles and how are we going to work in the legislative session? What are the structural things that we need to work on in each state? And then this is also then where we start getting the 1,000 people in each state coordinating together to put the national government back in its few and defined box. And so we get, you know, just like 12 is inundating to a governor, imagine 12 states working to restore the balance. That's the principle of this whole thing. So let me show you what this looks like. You guys know Jen Brown? Jen is doing this in Utah, so we need to keep working on that and then do that in all these other states. These are the kinds of things that she sends out with the Impact Council. Here's one over here. Oh, here's the talking point for March. Thank them for passing HB 348. That's the precious metal bill where we're investing gold in our rainy day fund that's only up 65% this year already. That was my bill. But she said, your 5 minutes for that week is just send them a thank you. Right? Next one. Oh, we've got something going on with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Just send them a note and ask them what to do. Now you can make up your own, but if you know you're busy that week or you hadn't thought about what to send them, you can just cut and paste and just send that forward. It doesn't even take 5 minutes. Oh, here's this presentation. Does that look familiar? Here's this presentation that talks about what our government's like. We got a bloated front tire and a flat back tire. And we're fighting over, should Trump or Harris ride the dang bike? And should they steer left or right? Meanwhile, the bike is collapsing. We got to fix the government. Send that to them. I mean, and so those are coming out every month because week 1, you're going to communicate to your state representative, 5 minutes. Week 2, your state senator, 5 minutes. Week 3, attorney general, 5 minutes. Week 4, governor, 5 minutes. Week 5, guess what? We're back to state representative. And we're going to start working through a process. Let's look at what that looks like a little bit. Now remember, we talked about the best ways of communication. There's like a hierarchy of communication. Face-to-face is absolute best. You're not going to always be able to do that, but to the extent that you can, you get face-to-face, video conference, personal intermediary like Eric over here, right? He's not going to talk to him. He's going to have his wife do it. But I mean, a lot of times people say, oh, I don't know the representative, but I know the representative's wife, and I get a whole bunch more done because I know the wife, because they're the ones that really make things happen anyway. Personal intermediate, or like the chief of staff, right? Things like that. A phone call, handwritten notes. Handwritten notes are so influential. You take the time to write a handwritten note. Like I said, I've still saved notes that I've got. Text, if you get the cell number, text. Personal email, always include, I'm a constituent. Here's my address. Because we get so many emails from all over. People go, oh, I'm your constituent. And they're from, Haiti or whatever, right? It's like, I want to know right where that constituent lives, because I probably want to put a sign there someday. Because they can help me that way too, right? Social media, direct message. There's all kinds of ways to communicate with people now. Form email if you have to. And, carrier pigeon, smoke signal, it doesn't matter. We're going to communicate once a week. We're going to communicate with one of our representatives because we care about our dang country. We're going to make sure they know that we're watching. And they know that we know what the structure is. And they know that we're expecting them to fix the structure of our government. I mean, these guys would have killed it. Oh, let's go back here. I mean, you guys, this just, seriously. Thomas Jefferson with a Facebook page, right? Thomas Paine with a YouTube channel. We have communication tools they could not have even imagined, and yet they changed the world nailing notes to trees. You could reach thousands of people before you get out of your pajamas. If we care about this, it's time. It's time. This is not hyperbole anymore. Our country's in serious trouble. We've got ways to do this. You can help them set up town hall meetings. There's all these other tools that we talked about. Little story, when I was a kid, my grandma used to send me out to get the eggs. And I'd go out to get them, and I'd come back just bloodied up. These chickens would just peck all over. I'd cry and everything, and come back with the eggs. And we had kids, and my wife said, honey, we need to teach our children where food comes from. We should go get some chickens. And so we go to the cow ranch store, and, it was a little neighbor girl that we knew, and she got us all the right chickens and everything, and they were cute little fuzz balls. We had them in the house, and came time to put them out in the little chicken coop, and we built this little fancy chicken coop and everything, and it was time to get the eggs. My wife says, honey, go get the eggs. I'm like, go get the eggs, man. They're mean. This is a true story. I put on a sweatshirt. I had gloves. I had like goggles on. I'm going out to check the eggs. And I go out there and I reach under and I just grab the egg. The chicken could care less. And I go to the second one. I grab the egg and the chicken didn't even know I was there. And the third one and the fourth, I grab all the eggs. And I'm like, there's something wrong with my chickens. I didn't get pecked. They didn't even care that I was there. I seriously went back to the cow ranch store. Totally true story. I go back to the same girl and I said, there's something wrong with my chickens. And she says, well, what's the problem? I said, they don't peck. And she says, oh, yeah, we bred that out of them. We bred that out of them. In the United States of America, it's been bred out of us.
Oh, yes.
And we've got to learn how to peck.
I used the Campbell soup can. I put it over her head and robbed her blind.
Yep. It's been bred out of us. We've got to be engaged. We've got to peck. We've got to be active in our government. Doesn't take a majority to prevail. It just takes an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires in people's minds. 12 is inundated, right? So we're going to set the goals and praise and reprimands. We're going to teach how to do this. So here's what it looks like, right? So week 1, 1 through 4, right? Week 1 through 4. Our first message to our representatives, then senator, then attorney general, then governor. First message is, man, I'm so sorry. I need to apologize to you. Just like you were saying, right? I need to apologize to you. Because I've been learning that people are the sovereign. The people are like the boss of this government. And I've been doing a terrible job. I haven't been doing my job. Because a good boss helps their people be better at their job. I need to apologize to you because I haven't been doing my job. And so I need to know, what can I do to help you be better at this job that we've hired you to do? And see, think about what you're teaching in that, right? I'm apologizing to you because I'm not being a good sovereign of the country. What did we just teach? Without beating them over the head and saying, I'm the boss of you, you work for me, I pay taxes and you work for me. It doesn't work. I'm here, I promise that doesn't work. But you apologize and say, I'm so sorry. I've been learning about our system. I'm concerned about our country. I've been learning about our system of government, and I was blown away to find out what it means that the people are sovereign. It means I'm the boss, and I've not been doing my job. I haven't been showing up. I haven't even been paying attention to the agenda. I haven't been helping you, but I'm going to change. What can I do to help you be better at this job? And then you figure out how to do it. You've just changed the game right there. You are now 1 out of 40,000. You've set yourself completely apart. You're a committee of 1 out of 3.5 million. You've set yourself apart. And as you make those communications, you're now working your way into the inner circle of influence with the people that work for you. And you're teaching without having to say, sit down, let me tell you something, right? It doesn't work that way. But you apologize and say, how can I help you? You've just taught all kinds of things about our governing system. Now, weeks 5 through 8. So, right, you're going to, that message, week 1 is the representative. Week 2, same thing with the senator. Week 3, same thing with the AG. Week 4, same thing with the governor. Now we're going to get face-to-face if we can. If we can't, we're going to, send an email or a text or a video message or Marco Polo or a smoke signal or note in a bottle, whatever. We're going to communicate that once every week to the people that we hired to run the government for us because we're responsible for it. Now the next month, right, week 5 through 8. Wow, in addition to learning that the people are sovereign, that we're the boss, we're learning about the structure of our government, and that was so unique in all the world. The structure of American government is what sets it apart. It's called a compound republic. 2 governments in a partnership. I didn't know that. I'm learning that. And that the balance and the duties in that partnership is critical. States are separate, independent sovereigns. They have to act like it. Can you help me understand how our state is acting like a separate, independent sovereign? How can I help you with that? I'm happy to share information, but what can I do to help you? Our state is supposed to be a separate, independent sovereign. How can I help you in that? What do you need from me to help you do that? Because that's a hard thing to do. See what you've taught right there? Now we're teaching about the structure. It's the structure that matters. I care about the structure. I'm going to be following up with you once a month about the nature of our system. And you can invite them to watch the videos, copy of the book, any of that kind of stuff. So week 5, right, rep, 6 is the senator, 7 is AG, 8 is the governor. And most of that, might not even take you 5 minutes. Now the cool thing is in that impact council, now you can talk with other people and you can share, oh, I did this and here's what they said. And I did the same thing and I got this. Well, I tried it this way and I got that response. And now you're coordinating with the people in your district and the people in your state about how this is going. So week 5, now we're on the 3rd month, right? Week 9 through 12. We learned about how the people are sovereign, how it's the structure of our government. It's this compound republic. States are responsible. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize, this guy John Dickinson said it'll be the state's own fault. And even the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court said states are separate, independent sovereigns. They're supposed to act like it. I had no idea. We learned about the powers that the states have. I didn't know that. I thought all they could do was lawsuits. We learned about the 8 different tools, at least 8 tools that states have in their toolbox. Were you aware of these things? Did you know about this stuff? I'd be happy to share what we're learning. Did you know about the powers? What do you understand about the powers that the states have to maintain that balance? It's not taught anywhere, you guys. 8,300 state legislators in the United States, not one of them is being taught this because of their being elected or being, in part of their state. If they're learning it on their own, or they've got people that voted for them that are reaching out to teach them. So week 13 through 16, right? This whole idea in Utah, we've now got this National Federalism Initiative. We've got this federal policy tracker, tracks everything the federal government does that crosses a jurisdictional line. There's all these cool tools. I'd be happy to share them with you. Did you know all these tools were out there? I'd be happy to help connect you with them, right? Now you're adding value and showing them the things that are available that are out there. This Federalism Index is so dang cool. We developed that right here in Utah. The Constitutional Studies Center, not only is it the Federalism Index that measures how it is, but now we've got this policy tracker, tracks everything that they're doing. And then now we've got this whole National Federalism Initiative and the summit, and we're working with, to build this coalition of states. All these things that you can plug them into. And so then once we get past there, now part of being in that group, in that impact council, now we're going to get specific on specific things. Now we can do that anytime throughout this, but we're going to make sure that the people that we hire know that we're the boss, not by saying I'm the boss of you, because we offer to help them and we're willing to help them at the job. They're going to know that the structure is critical, and we're going to connect them with tools that help them understand the structure and connect them with tools that help them understand the powers that they have. This isn't being done anywhere. But 5 minutes a week, you change the game, because you're now equipping your state leaders to do your sovereign job. Anybody feel like you can't do this?
I just did.
Pretty simple, right? This is simple, simple, simple. This is how we can pull our country back. Liberties of our country, freedoms of our civil constitution are worth defending at all hazards. It's our duty to defend them against all attacks. It will bring a mark of everlasting infamy on the present generation if we should suffer them to be wrested from us by violence without a struggle, or to be cheated out of them by the artifices of designing men. Can you imagine? I think all the time about Jefferson, Washington, Adams, and what they sacrificed to give to us this most incredible governing machine in the history of the world. And it all comes down to us. America only works if we do. Never despair. Samuel Adams' motto: where there's a spark of patriotic fire, we'll rekindle it. You guys have somebody like that counting on you, right? This is my guy. This is Henry. And I think I've told you, but when he's up here or when I'm down there, we're going down there in a couple weeks. He just waits outside my bedroom. He's usually there at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, just waiting for the door to crack. And as soon as the door cracked, Grandpa's awake! And it's just, full-time energy all the time. We're just running until we collapse. I love that kid. I love his 2 sisters. I love my little grandbaby that lives a couple miles from here. And you guys, 38 trillion is going to be 100 trillion. It's going to be 200 trillion. Do you know that we're less than a decade? We're probably about 5 years away from every single dollar of federal revenue just going to pay interest. That's like 5 years away. 5 years from now, Social Security Trust Fund goes to zero.
They keep printing money though, quantitative easing.
They'll keep printing money, and that means your money is just going to get worth less and less and less. One way or the other, it's a tax. We're either going to get less in service, pay more in tax, or our money is going to be less valuable. Either way, it's going to get harder unless we step up and change it. This guy's going to ask me a question. He's going to say, Grandpa, did you see this coming? When he's trying to buy a house and start a job and start his family and get things going. Because it's going to be a gajillion times harder than it was for us. He's going to say, did you see it coming? Going to have to say yes, because I'm on video. And then the next question he's going to ask, right? What did you do about it? And you have kids and grandkids and people that you care about, they're going to ask you the same thing. Did you see this coming? What did you do about it? There were people that sacrificed life, fortune, sacred honor. That wasn't just platitudes. That was real. Many of them died. Many of their families were killed. They were imprisoned. They lost everything they owned to give us this most incredible governing experiment. The question is, are we going to keep it? We're already fixing to leave it worse off than we found it. If ever the time should come when vain aspiring men shall possess the highest seats in government, that would never happen. Our country will stand in need of its experienced patriots to prevent its ruin. You guys, it's super simple. Multi-level liberty. We just got to teach a few other people. We got to live to where we stand. Structure of our government's central to liberty. If we destroy it, we place liberty in peril. Question is, are we going to keep the structure of our government? And you're the answer to this. America works when we do. So let's get it done. 5 minutes a week. I'm counting on you. So let's get it done. We'll get on the website. We'll make it happen. Thank you very much.